We're back. Mr. and Gid the Kid reporting for the noontime news with a to be continued episode. We'll name it, let's see here, An Unexpected Turn in the Empire of the Persians and Medes. Nah, that's too long. How about A Royal Reversal? Yeah, A Royal Reversal, episode 2. Kid, what do you think of that? Actually, where is Gid the Kid? Hey guys, where's the kid? That's odd. Well, anyways, the show must go on, with or without Gid the Kid. You guys won't believe it, but I found the rest of my notes from last time. They were not in the garbage, but I was sitting on them. Yeah, let's not tell Gid that. Okay, but anyways, as we were saying last time...
Mr. E? Mr. E?
Yes?
It's Gid the Kid. Could you please turn on my camera?
Hey guys, turn on Gid's camera. Oh, wow, Gid the Kid. What are you doing? And where are you at?
You have got to be kidding me. This is the address you gave me to do the research to finish the story on Esther. Where in the world did you send me?
I'm not quite sure. Doesn't look like Persia to me. It actually kind of looks like Alaska. Yep. By the way, I found my notes. They weren't in the garbage. I was just sitting on them.
You know what? I'm gonna let this slide on one condition, because of the Randolphi incident.
Well, Gid, no use waiting for you. I'll send you the notes by email and we can report the news still. You from Alaska and me from the warm, cozy, with the fireplace lit studio.
Mr. E, you're really pushing it.
Okay. I just had to say it. But continuing from last time, remember, Gid the Kid read for us the words of Mordecai. Let me just read them once again. Mordecai said this to Esther. Do not think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this.
Mordecai does seem to be suggesting something. Like it was not just chance or luck that Esther was queen. You know what I think he's suggesting?
Gid the Kid, you remember we are news reporters. We aren't supposed to interpret the news for our listeners, just report our findings.
You right.
I think we just caught Gid the Kid mid-sneeze. Sorry, I had to pause it real quick. Kids, it's pretty interesting that Gid the Kid was talking about as we ended with this last week. Do you remember what we said Mordecai was referring to when he said, and who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Do you remember who he's referring to? Yeah, he's referring to God, that God had placed Esther in such a position that he might work through her to save the Jews. All right, let's keep listening in as Mr. E and Gid the Kid continues the rest of the story. So we'll play it.
But damn!
Ooh, you okay, Kid?
Yeah, I just got the sniffles.
Okay, well, let's continue and hold those sniffles. Well, after Mordecai said this, Esther called Mordecai to have the Jews fast, which means that they didn't eat. And they did this for 3 whole days. After these days, Esther went to the king. Remember, if he didn't hold out his golden scepter, she would be toast. But anyways, she goes in, and the king held out his scepter and asked her what he could do for her. Hey, Gid, how you doing over there? Getting a little cold?
Just a bit. Despite Mr. E's obvious lack of compassion for me, he is very correct, and Esther does tell the king that she wants him and Haman, get this, to come to a feast.
What? A feast? Wait, why didn't she just ask him to save the Jews? Her and her people are about to be killed, and she plans an all-you-can-eat buffet for the two men who made this law to kill the Jews? What is going on? Is this girl crazy?
Mr. E, calm down. We all know that you're just jealous that you didn't get invited to the buffet. And by the way, we're on the air.
True. I'm sorry. This just caught me by surprise, just like when you invited that local plum supplier. What was his name again? Yeah, Randolphy. The star in the midnight edition of our news report. Yeah, remember that?
As I said, he's my... And it wasn't that bad.
Would you two get it together? We are on air and our viewers are dropping.
Oh, right. Anyways, yes, Mr. E, she invites them to a feast, and we see that at the feast, the king asks her what he can do for her, and she asks...
Let me guess. She asks for another feast.
You betcha.
Are you serious? This girl.
Yeah, seriously. Esther does seem to be chickening out. And Mr. E, by the way, you have all of this on your notes? Why are you so surprised?
Well, I didn't even read the notes yet, so this is my first time going through them. So we see the events that take place after this invitation for a second feast, and they are important. First, Haman decides he will kill Mordecai because Mordecai would not respect him. Haman was furious because of this and is given the idea by his wife and his friends to kill Mordecai before the next feast. This is not good because then Esther will not be able to save her cousin. This is exactly why I was shocked that she threw one feast and then another rather than asking the king to save her people.
Well, this is intense, but wait, it's about to get more intense. And as Mr. E said, this was the first event, and here's the second event that takes place, and it is important. Guess what? Are you ready for this? The king could not sleep.
Are you serious? The king couldn't sleep? That is the second important event.
Mr. E, calm down. And by the way, the king couldn't sleep, so he had the book of memorable deeds read to him. You wouldn't believe it, but Mordecai's saving of the king's life is read aloud to the king. Remember that this is the night before Haman was planning on killing Mordecai, and the king asked his men if Mordecai was ever rewarded for this, and guess what? He wasn't. So the king said, who is in the court? And of all the people in the court, of all the king's servants, of everyone in the kingdom, Haman walks in. And the king asks Haman, what should I do for someone that I want to reward? Haman obviously thought that the king was talking about himself. So Haman told the king to do wonderful things for this person. So the king had Haman do all these nice things for, you guessed it, Mordecai. Haman hates Mordecai, and now he has to do nice things for him. Wow, just get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, good point, Gid the Kid. And it's even reported that Haman went home and his wife and friends told him that Mordecai the Jew would be his downfall. These are the people that told him to kill Mordecai just the day before. And as soon as they said that, Haman was brought to Esther's second feast.
At that feast, Esther told the plan of Haman and how her and her people would be killed. The king was furious and had Haman killed, and Mordecai was placed in his position.
The very day the Jews were supposed to be killed turned into a day the Jews killed their enemies, and the Jews celebrated.
What a story! The ratings are... What? The They're right up there with King Nebuchadnezzar's time as an animal interview we did last month. Actually, they just said our viewers are at an all-time high. Let's go, Mr. E!
I can safely say that our episode with the least amount of views was the Randolphi episode.
Well, considering that my ride left me here, do you think that you can come get me in your chariot?
Can anyone hear Gid the Kid anymore? That's weird. I wonder what happened to him.
Oh no. No, you're not doing it. You have got to be kidding me.
Sorry, Gid the Kid, I can't hear you anymore. I don't know what you're saying. Well, thank you folks for joining us for our noontime special. Catch us tomorrow at our normal time for a report on the upcoming sale of the market. This is Mr. E, and who knows where Gid the Kid is, signing off. The Hobbit, or There and Back Again, by J.R.R. Tolkien. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Oh,
Mr. A.
I can't hear you, Gid the Kid.
Mr. A. Don't you? Oh, great. What am I going to do now? Hey, what's that over there? Oh no. Is that? Oh no, that's a moose. See ya. Ah!
How about those two news reporters? Those two crack me up. As we think about the story of Esther and Mordecai and even Haman and the king of the Medes and the Persians, as I said last week, this is a true story, a story found in our Bibles in the book of Esther. So the lesson I'd like to share with you from this story, though, is the same that as we learned last week, that God is at work in the story of Esther, even though his name is never mentioned. In the story, in the book of Esther, his name is never mentioned. The story of Esther teaches us that even though we can't see God, he is still at work, even in the smallest of events. On top of this, we see that God can even use bad and sinful events as part of his plans and his purposes. For example, the king got rid of his wife, as we learned last week, and he then married Esther. That wasn't a right thing to do, and yet God uses it as part of his plan to save the Jews. Think about what Mystery and Gid the Kid told us today, like the event of the king not being able to sleep, and even that Haman showed up right as he was looking for someone to help him figure out what to do for the person to reward. Those things weren't an accident. The fact that the king couldn't sleep, that Haman showed up, these things weren't just coincidence, but it was God at work. God was causing these things to take place to ultimately lead to the saving of the Jews. So we learn that we have a God who is in control and at work in the smallest of events in our lives. I encouraged you last week to think about the events that take place during your day, each day of this week, maybe going to school or doing school at home, going on the bus or just driving in a car, eating dinner with your family, coming to church, maybe playing a sport. God is in control of each and every one of these events. He's at work in each and every one of these events, even though we can't see him. So 2 things I'd like to challenge you from last week's lesson, this week's lesson, as we learn about Esther and Mordecai, is this. First, realize that God is at work in all things. God is at work in all things. And the second thing, I'd like to challenge you from our study of Esther and Mordecai is don't let the fact that you can't see God make you doubt that he is really at work. Don't let the fact that we can't see him cause you to doubt or think, I don't know if he's really there. I don't know if he's working. And the reason that we don't need to doubt is because the Bible teaches us these things. The Bible teaches us that he's at work. It promises us of what he's doing in our world. So thanks for joining me once again as we learn about the exilic characters in the Bible. This week and last week, we learned about Esther and Mordecai. Next week, we're going to play a review game to see how many of these exilic characters you can remember and how much you learned about them. So I'll see you then.